So, Mafia 2, huh?
What? What? Who? I don't know anything, man. I'm just trying to play some games. You know what? Say Mafia 2?
Yeah, what about it, punk?
Yeah. Just give me a second here. How about you do the starting off?
Yeah, I'll do that. Mafia 2 is a beautiful game that I had heard beautiful things about back when it first launched. Shortly after I bought my first gaming computer, which was a laptop, I first used it to test out how Mafia 2 would run on it using the Steam demo. Remember when Steam had demos? Wait, does Steam still have demos? Anyways.
Yes, I remember it quite well also. Being released in 2010, I also dabbled in the demo back a while ago. However, I would never actually play through the original game back until certain events. Mafia 2 has an incredibly well done introduction that really introduces a lot of themes and shows off the American dream in a positive light, unlike its crime counterpart Grand Theft Auto 4.
The game's quick to introduce you to a couple main characters, but in a really great way. Lots of vital character development is done that truly immerses you in the game's world. And speaking of immersion, there's gonna be a lot of that. Goodness me, what an ending. It just felt so abrupt, did it not? I mean, it's great, but...
We're not spoiling the game. It's not happening. No spoilers here.
Yeah, sorry. Anyways, the game has tons of cutscenes, considerably good graphics for its time, and convincing dialogue, which tells a great story of a man trying to make a name for himself after the passing of his deadbeat father. Vito wants to be a bigger man than he ever was, by providing for his family, and, well, I guess there's no harm in a little bloodshed here and there to pay the bills, no?
Seems alright to me, and it does to Vito as well because he has Joe help him out the entire time. Joe is the secondary character of the game. Thanks to Joe, Vito's able to get into crime much easier. In fact, Joe is really the gateway for Vito throughout the entire game. Aside from Vito, Joe is easily the strongest character of the bunch, and you get this sense that he is a real person.
Under no circumstance does the game break this impressive sense of immersion, even during what would seem to be little tutorial segments, like when Joe yells at you something like, "Hey, what the hell are you doing? We're supposed to blah blah blah," and Vito will always respond with some little wisecrack like, "Oh yeah, no shit, I can see them too."
To say the story of Mafia 2 is excellent still feels like an understatement in itself, as it really is just phenomenal in almost every aspect. Like we mentioned, the characters, dialogue, level of immersion, and just general world of Mafia 2 is really unparalleled, even all these years later. There really has been no game since to portray the Mafia in this way. Imitators, sure, but nowhere near as good as Mafia 2. The story is not only aged extremely well, but it's a testament to how you make crime-based stories in video games. It is not a story I will be forgetting anytime soon, and I can't say that about most games I play. Now when it comes to how Mafia 2 plays, it is pretty much what one has come to expect from a crime-based game that came out in 2010. There's a lot of mob-related activities, whether it's gunning people down, driving at fast speeds, or just being a general douchebag. It usually all relates back. Well, what better place to start at than one of the more unique aspects of the game, that being the driving.
Mafia 2 isn't just a game about the Mafia. In fact, I'd say 50% of it is about automobiles. You're going to be doing a lot of driving in this game, exceedingly similar to how it felt in Grand Theft Auto games. Now, I haven't played Mafia 1 before, so I don't know if this is something that carried over from that game or not, but I know Geek Gamers played it, so was the first game this vehicular focused?
Yeah, Frame. Mafia 1 really was littered with driving sequences and was what you were doing for a majority of the game. It was actually the primary reason as to why I stopped playing through the game, as there was just way too much driving, and suffice to say, it was no bueno.
Well, anyways, the game tends to go for a realistic approach even in its automobiles. The cars were authentically sculpted from their original 40s and 50s designs. Unfortunately, a good majority of them on the streets are relatively boring, but then again, maybe that's because I've been spoiled to how slick and shiny these things look at car shows. I'm very fond of this time period.
You aren't alone in that. I absolutely love this time period for vehicles, ever since my high school auto shop show. If I had to pick out one area of the game to highlight for graphics, definitely be the vehicles. They just look incredibly realistic to their counterparts, and the way they react to the environment is a great touch, like with snow hitting the car, the way the wheels behave in the dirt. Really high level of realism. Speaking of realism...
Realism can also be found in the handling of the cars. They feel quite realistic. Granted, I've never driven in one of these cars, but it feels authentic at least. And why, you ask? Because, oh dear lord, is it bothersome to play like a gamer, am I right?
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah, but for real though, you pretty much have to play by the rules in Mafia 2, especially considering the popo be fast on your ass if you don't. Too bad my used copy came with unused DLC codes, so I got this pretty sweet ride that can get away from pretty much anything.
Man, I didn't find shit.
I also got this goofy-ass costume to make the cutscenes real good.
For us plebs who didn't find anything, you gotta be careful as the police are really on it. Speeding, hitting cars, being a conniving, evil, law-breaking bastards that deserve to rot in hell before they die, will have the police chasing you down.
Now, much as I'd love to say the cops in this game are smart, once you lose them, so long as you're not in a wanted vehicle, they'll pass you by without a second thought. And this could even happen mere seconds afterwards, mind you.
Well, that was something.
But good luck if you slam too fast into something, because likely you're gonna have an engine failure, which you'll have to fix manually by exiting, going to the front of your car, and re-entering. In the middle of a police chase, this is pretty much a guaranteed death.
Well, eventually you're going to find yourself in a situation where you aren't in a car and you have to get into a skirmish. Now, near the beginning of the game and a certain other part of the game, you find yourself getting into a fist fight. The hand-to-hand is, well, okay. It's not exactly Arkham Asylum or Sleeping Dogs. Maybe like Grand Theft Auto 4. It's functional and basic, and I will leave it at that. The less said, probably the better. Besides that, the conflict you get into the game features guns. Lots of guns.
The gunplay is alright. For the time period, it's fairly run-of-the-mill, so not bad, a bit clunky, but by all means tolerable. I do have to say, sometimes I'll take damage from who knows what, or maybe I'll think someone managed to shoot me through a wall. Is that possible in this game? In tandem, I often find chunks flying off the walls, so I guess that's certainly a possibility. And if so, nice attention to detail there.
Yes, the gunplay is more than functional. While it doesn't feel all that amazing, it is serviceable. However, I also have the same complaint, as I would find myself in cover but still getting shot. No matter the cover, it happened quite a few times to me as well. But yeah, maybe it was intended that way, I can't tell for sure.
Of course, with any game, I have to give this game an extra point for having a Model 1928 Tommy gun with barrel loading action. You know, one of the most beautiful creations of mankind.
Extra points and in-game conflict aside, I think we should probably go over navigating in the game's openness, air quotes, since that is a primary part of it.
Yeah, navigation in this game isn't the best. Waypoints are pretty wonky, the map HUD leaves something to be desired. And speaking of that map, once you open it to look at it fully, how come it doesn't show your home, or even Joe's for that matter, when you're staying at his place? I know that after a mission you'll start back there, but what if mid-mission I want to go back and pick up one of my certain cars from the garage?
Very good points you have brought up, as there are just a few oversights on the map, it seems. And while they do seem like oversights, they add up, and there is no reason for them to not be here. I remember back when the game came out, people called it a fake open world, where there was an open world to an extent, but the game was really instead about its linear missions, and there really is nothing to do in this open world, air quotes, other than rob stores and find some spicy collectibles. The game primarily focuses on its tight narrative and missions, rather than providing a detailed standout world.
I'm not too sure what else to say about this one, my guy, and that's pretty much why I've never covered it on my channel nor other games of this sort. A lot of the appeal is story-based. Sure, there's gameplay to be critiqued, but we've pretty much already done that without buying the t-shirt.
Hold on there, boyo. Before we wrap things up, I guess the sound would be worth bringing up. Cars sound like how you would want them to, and the guns do as well. The music in the game is actually accurate to the times, and as the in-game years go by, the music changes with it, which is a fantastic touch. The voice acting is crisp, like Frames in Mind's voice. The accents are authentic and really add to the narrative of the game, and it really is the cherry on top for the story.
And yeah, I guess I could talk about the story, but why bother? Just play it for yourself. It's best you do that anyways. I don't think I could convey anything nearly as well as the game does. Just take my word for it, the game's presentation is excellent. The gameplay? Pretty solid, but I have to admit it hasn't held up as greatly as I expected. There are some rough edges around the corners, entire portions of the game that are almost dedicated to driving, which I could have done without, but these are always interrupted with cinematic brilliance, so they never stuck around too long to bug me.
Could not have said it better myself. In conclusion, while there are some small annoyances and gripes here and there, the game not only holds up incredibly well, but it's still a great game. It has superb pacing throughout, clocking in around 10 hours or so, tells a riveting tale that fans of the genre will eat up. I think I can say that this is the definitive Mafia-esque video game and stacks up with the very best of the entire genre, in any medium actually, which is saying a lot. The other two Mafia games are nowhere near as good as 2 for various reasons I would rather not talk about. In these times, it seems every game gets re-released or remade So sooner than later, I'm certain Mafia 2 will join them. Big update, as I'm actually recording this video right now, they have announced that Mafia 1, 2, and 3 are being remade / remastered and re-released for modern consoles and PC. So, looks like I was right. It's coming. Anyway, back to the regular review. I have no problem recommending the game to anyone who likes crime dramas, The Godfather, or driving games.
I guess that wraps things up. I love this game and I'm glad to have given my opinion of it out there, so thanks for giving me the opportunity to do that.
Absolutely, loved having you help me review this classic, and if you want to see any of Frame's stuff, I have links in the description, on the screen. There should be a plane flying over your house within a few minutes. If you could even check out one of his videos, I'm sure that would make him very happy. It would make me as well.
Hey, so are we done here? Can I go? Kinda got other stuff to look at, you know. Hello? Anyone?